Surviving the Applewhites, Chapter 17. You're kidding! Sybil had just brought in a tray of coffee, and she set it down with a bang so that the coffee sloshed out of the mugs. Edie thought it was unlikely that her father had dragged everybody into a meeting to make a joke. Zebediah hadn't come. He told her when she went to get him that unless someone was at death's door at that very moment, he saw no reason why whatever it was couldn't perfectly wait until morning. But Lucille and Archie were there, even though she'd had to wake them. They were sitting blearily on the couch in their night clothes. Jeremy Bernstein was there too, complete with notebook and pen. "Why would I kid about a thing like this? It's been the most grueling audition process I've ever been through in my life, and the hardest part of it was finding the person to play Maria. Anna Louise Mabry sings and acts, and she's young and pretty besides. She is absolutely perfect for the part." "Well, it will certainly get the show some attention," Sybil said. "I don't know that anyone has ever cast an African-American as Maria before." "That's because nobody else had to cast the show in Treebridge, North Carolina before." "I thought The Sound of Music was a true story," Edie said. "Wasn't Maria Von Trapp a real person?" "Of course," her father said. "The guiding force behind the Von Trapp family singers." "But she wasn't black." Jeremy Bernstein took a cup of coffee off the tray and blotted its bottom with a napkin. "Technically speaking, the show is only based on a true story. It's literature, a piece of musical theater, not a documentary. Rogers and Hammerstein probably took some liberties with the truth in creating it. Your father can take a few in casting it. It's called color-blind casting." He turned to Randolph. "That's what makes you such an extraordinary director, that you have the courage, the vision, to make a choice." "It was the only possible choice," Randolph said. "Anna Louise is incredibly talented. She graduated from Northwestern with a degree in musical theater. She's the lead singer in a gospel choir that's toured the country 3 times. If I hadn't located this girl, I'd have had to call the whole project off. There wasn't a single other possible Maria for 100 miles in any direction. She isn't the only colorblind choice, though. It's going to be a rainbow cast. The children playing Louisa and Friedrich are black, and Liesel and Kurt are Vietnamese." Wait a minute, Edie said. "I get it that the show isn't a documentary, but won't the audience have trouble understanding it? The Von Trapp children all have the same parents. There's biology to think about. You can't have 3 different races in one family. It doesn't make sense." "It makes perfect sense. It's musical theater. Singing, acting, a little dancing. The kids I cast sing and act better than anyone else in town." "Colorblind casting is the right thing to do," Jeremy said. "Biology or not, your father's morally bound to cast the best people, regardless of color or ethnic background." "Exactly," Randolph said, stirring a heaping spoonful of sugar into his coffee. "Anyway, appearances don't count. Once the show gets started, I guarantee that the audience won't notice." Sybil shook her head. "Well, they're likely to notice." Jeremy waved his coffee mug in the air. "I think it's a philosophically powerful concept. What's The Sound of Music about, after all?" "Falling in love and escaping the Nazis," Cordelia said. Jeremy nodded. "Escaping Nazis? What were the Nazis most infamous for? The Holocaust, the killing of 6 million Jews. One of the most terrible examples of racial hatred in modern times. What better way to hold a mirror up to our own prejudices than to cast this particular show across racial lines? It's positively inspired." He began jotting in his notebook. "Think of it. Probably the first time The Sound of Music has ever been done this way, and it's being done in the South. That'll make a great hook for the TV show. The network people will love it. We could have them for the opening." Randolph grinned. "That's it, of course. I cast the show the way I did for philosophical reasons." That was an outrageous lie, Edie thought, and everybody in the room knew it. But from now on, she knew that was how her father would think about it, and that's the way Jeremy would write about it. I told you I'd give the show an edge, Cordelia, didn't I? Didn't I? I said it would send the audience away both humming and thinking. Let's hope the little theater board doesn't pull the plug on you and cancel the whole thing, Sybil said. Treybridge might not be quite ready for this. They wouldn't dare. Lucille stifled a yawn. Oh, I think it's wonderful that you finally got your cast round off. I'm sure it will work out. Never fear, Sybil. There's a shift in consciousness happening these days all over the world. Unity out of diversity. It's surely happening in Treybridge, too. There's nothing to worry about. In Lucille's view of the world, Edie thought there was never anything to worry about. She looked over at Jake, who was sitting at the end of the couch with Winston draped across his feet. He was staring into space as if he hadn't heard a word that was being said. There was an odd look in his eyes. It reminded her somehow of the look Cordelia got when she started talking about her ballet. We need to be getting back to bed, Lucille said then. She nudged Archie, who had fallen asleep where he sat. Let's go. Govindaswamy will be here bright and early. Who? Randolph asked. Who'll be here? Ravi Govindaswamy, my guru. Don't tell me you've forgotten that, too. He's going to be staying in Sweet Gum Cottage. Your guru is coming to stay? Tomorrow? Sybil asked in a horrified voice. Why didn't you warn us? Lucille stood, pulling at Archie's arm. I did warn you. Nobody pays attention to anything around here except their own projects. But I haven't had time to do the grocery shopping yet this week. We won't have enough food. Again. That's all right. Govindaswamy is fasting. As Edie slipped into sleep later, she was glad she didn't have anything to do with her father's show. She was beginning to have a strong premonition of catastrophe.